Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I'm a bit. I was just talking to tonight's guest there, and as I was saying to him, I've sort of left myself a bit short. I hope you're all well. I've seen quite a few in already in the chat, so I hope I hope you can all see and hear me well. And look, let's just do this, and then I'll get back to you. Yeah, I've been, as I say, I sort of caught myself a bit unawares. It's like everything at the moment, isn't it? We're always sort of rush, rush, rush. That's life at the moment, and that's certainly what Monday looked like for me. It's been one of those days where I had a very, very early start, and I was already a little exhausted. So it's just been sort of rush, rush. So I'm just going to jump into the chat and see who's in. I see an awful lot of you in. Thank you very much for being here. And we'll have a look through who's here before we move onward. Whiskey Williams Stuart is in early doors. Hello, Stuart. Good evening, my friend. Whiskey Works Graham. Cheers, buddy. Anybody seen you? I did mean to have a few pictures. I was speaking to my guest. I did mean to have a few pictures organized to sort of go here. This was what happened on Saturday. We'll just mention it. We did go for a drink. It was good crack. We will not park it there, but certainly we'll move on from that. Donner Pass Whiskey, Tim, good to see you, Tim. McCallum, Fine and Rare, the Doc, we are graced with your pleasure. Thank you for joining us, sir. Jeff Whiskey, good to see you as always, my friend. Who else did we have? We had Mark Slinger in. Good to see you, Mark Slinger. Neil Laverty was also there for that boozing session the other day. We'll call it that. Petehead Frank, always good to see you, Frank. Who else do I have? Everybody's chatting with each other, so I just wanted to check. Whiskey with Molly, Ben, good to see you, my friend. Daniel Vermas, he knows what I'm talking about. Billy Boy, Drew from AZ, Richard Agnew, Gabs Drams. I missed quite a Fernando, that's a new name to me, I believe. Good to see you here. So yeah, quite a few of you in. Thank you very much. Des, David Owen, they're still coming. Good to see you all. Cheers. Thank you for being here. Yes, it's good to be back. There's a reason, a whiskey bond, Mark. Good to see you, my friend. There's a reason why I actually left this month a little later. Because I knew there was a few things happening. I knew Bud Jenkins was coming over at the end of the month, so I was sort of holding off for that to have happened, so as I could just have a chat about it at some point, and maybe just say that it had happened. There were other whiskey meetups happened for an awful lot of us, and this was the other thing that I sort of wanted to leave it a while and let things, because things are starting, I think, to come back to normal a little bit. I think things are starting to return to a time where we can meet again. And I certainly know that I've had a couple of whiskey meetups since, I believe, the last time I spoke to him. Can't remember. Maybe I'd had the last one before it was my last live, but it's been brilliant. It has been outstanding to actually get to have a drink with you guys again, with certain folk, and just, I know it's been sort of guys it's here or whatever, but it's getting there. It's getting back to that moment where we can all enjoy a drink together again. And as I say, it's just fantastic. The other reason why I wanted to leave it was I knew the Oswas were coming. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about with the Oswas. Whenever I mention the Oswas, the Online Scotch Whisky Awards, I was honoured to be asked to be a contributor. That's the word I'm looking for that. And then the voting is now going on for you. As I've said before, I haven't said this in this mode, in live mode, but I've certainly said it through Instagram and things like that. That to me, the Oswas are for the whiskey community and voted for by the whiskey community. So it can only, I think, going forward, benefit us So we'll maybe hit further on the Oswas later. I yet again probably should have had a link in here. The link is in the description for this video, so anybody wishing to vote can get in there. Luna Aaron has joined us. Luna, your coins are officially on the way again. So I hope to get there this time. Multi-hack. I've got a dose of the Roy's, I'm going to call it. My mic is cutting in and out. So at some point, if my mic really cuts in or cuts out and decides to stop working, I'll just turn it off and hopefully the mic will come back. Yes. Anyway, for now, what I'll do is I will bring in my guest because I'm slightly concerned about my mic now. Leejay Brown. How are you, my friend?
Good evening. Good evening. How are you? Very well. Yourself?
I'm very well. As I say, I hope this. I don't know. This did it to me earlier when I was setting up, and it was fine. It was fine. It was fine. It was fine, and then it just popped like that, and it concerned me slightly, and it's just done it again, which concerns me even more. So as I say, we'll try and work our way through it. Anyway, Leejay, it's an absolute pleasure to have you in.
Pleasure to be here. Yeah.
As I said to you whenever I asked you to come on, the idea is that this is a community. This is, to say our community, it's the whiskey community, and we all, we're all here for the same reason, I think we could say. And I just wanted to sort of not. I think, as I said to you before we started, I think most people know who you are anyway, but I wanted to maybe get a bit more of a feel because as much as you and I think the last time you and I spoke, I was beating you at the game of something, but I didn't want to. I wasn't going to bring that up, but I couldn't let it slide either. For anyone who doesn't know, we were playing battle shots with New Dram Drinker in the certified originals. So it was just blessed luck on the evening. We'll put it like that.
Had a good game, that. Yeah,
it was a good game. I still don't know to this day how you missed on the last boat. I don't know.
Yeah. But anyway, everywhere but, wasn't it? I think I must have got around it twice.
Yeah, but it was good crack, and it's one of those things that it gave me an opportunity to actually finally speak to you, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And you and I have been sharing. The other thing was you and I have been sharing drams backwards and forwards for a while, and it's especially when you sent me a few recently, and I thought that's another reason I thought I've got to have this guy on to talk about these, because to me these are just too good to not have the man on who sent me them and discuss them. I didn't. You know what the Jim's Monday Malt Samples ethos was to actually let the people know, but I want to have you here so as I could talk about them face to face and we could share a dram. So on that subject, before we go further, we'll start with the first one if you don't mind, just so as we can, because it is a Monday evening, it's a school night. We're both working men, and I want to start with the Loch Lomond, if that's all right.
No, please. Yeah, that's a good one.
So, and this is the one, and actually you said it was Roy. You were right. I remember Roy talking about it, but it was Luna actually that was one of the first people that I remember being quite vocal about this one. It was the Loch Lomond. It was the 12-year-old Chardonnay yeast. This was one of the open specials, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, hold on.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And it was the fact that they did something a little different. They took, it was a different yeast for a change, and what I've done here, in case anybody's wondering what I'm at, I've poured myself just one of the classic 12-year-old Loch Lomond's as well, just to nose along with it and see if I'm finding. Greg's Whiskey Guide has popped in. I know Greg's busy. He's just returned from a trip, so yeah. The difference is actually easy to spot. And I noticed that whenever I poured this this Chardonnay yeast one earlier, the first thing I noticed was how creamy it was. Creamy and sweet and just unctuous and beautiful.
I'm just gonna have to nod a lot, mate, because I think the nose is still a bit from the weekend.
Yeah, you weren't. I forgot you weren't well at the weekend, of course. No, that's quite incredible. So, one of the other reasons I want to have you on, and I wanted to do this sort of diving further into the community, shall we say. Give us a feel for your journey. You know, where did Leejay's journey start?
Look, relatively recent. The end of 2019. The eldest, heavily involved with a new guy. Very quiet, hard to get anything out. And subject come up that he liked whiskey, so okay, I'll have a look. I've done whiskies in the past. 18-year-olds out, bells behind the bar. Mm-hmm. Didn't realize that there was more to the just chucking it down your neck. So we started chatting, and he showed me his collection, and that's really interesting. And then, boom, yes, this is the epiphany. It was just like, wow. Didn't realize you could get the variants, the nosing, the taste, the textures. And I didn't realize there were so many distilleries in the UK, let alone the world, that I just want to try. I want to give it a go. And yeah, so 2 years down, make sure I'm missing it. Nice collection. And just want to share it, just want to talk about it. So I have to say thanks to the future son-in-law. He really pushed me in a direction. So big thank you to him.
Was there a particular, when you say there was an epiphany, was it one in particular, or?
My monkey shoulder was one I've always had in the house, but never really drank it. It just sat there because I quite liked the bottle. Introduced it at work stew. But it was actually it was a Glengoyne. It was the 10. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize there was a sherry influence. So then I tried what was ever in the local shop: Glenmorangie 10, Glenfiddich, Glenmoray, and then gone back to the Glengoyne. So went to the 12. Went through that really quickly, really enjoyed it, found other ones. The Deanston, completely opposite direction. But sherry seems to be the main pulling point for me. I go back to that one all the time. And then it's the different types of sherry with like the Oloroso, the PX, the Philo. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get the Mickey ripped out of me because no one of my friends are really, my local, are really whiskey drinkers. They think I've just got an issue.
No, I think I can actually see exactly where you're coming from, because I'd be the same. Unless you seek out and find the whiskey drinkers and the whiskey appreciators.
Yeah,
it's something that, I don't know if you're like me. Whenever you try to, if somebody sets you off on the right path, stopping you then is.
No, the mic's gone again.
It's one of those things that if I start, it's like, don't start me on whiskey, because you'll not stop me again. And I know what you mean. Then that it has to be like-minded people almost, because there's no point.
I said what is community like? You said your mic gone again. Mm-hmm. No, that's still there. So I there's a few. I've over the 2 years with online. stuff like that. But there's no real community in the local to me. But I've started with a little club, and there's 4 of us. And then we've had a couple of meetings, and it's just sharing. One chap is so keen; he wants to know everything, and he's one of those ones that has to have detailed when it opened, when was the distillery first started, which is great. I just want to share the whiskey and have a chat about the whiskey.
Give the club a plug.
It's the Whiskey Liberation Front. I had to think then, completely mind blank. The Whiskey Liberation Front.
I'll drop a link for the. It's Instagram. Are you on Facebook, Twitter?
Just on Instagram at the moment. Yeah, we're trying to. Yeah.
I will drop. Remind me. I will drop a link in the description below for that, because I noticed that coming up, and I think that's great. That it's becoming bigger. There's no denying it's becoming bigger, and I think even I burst a bubble today of a friend in work who doesn't drink really. He's not a big drinker. He literally would maybe have a beer once in a while, or he was fit to tell me that he had a bottle of Jack Daniels that he would have maybe one every now and again, but he has a whiskey collection. Now, when he says he has a whiskey collection, I don't know. I don't want to delve into it because I don't want to, I don't want to sound like that guy. And he got a bottle. Somebody, I think it was his father. This bottle had been given to his father, which went to him, and I says, well, what is it? And he says, I don't know. It's just a big gold box. And I says, well, is it Johnny Walker gold label or something? And he went, no, I don't know. It's just a gold box. And I says, well, sure, take a picture, show me what it is, and I'll let you know. And he said to me today, then this was a couple of days ago, and he says to me today, he goes, oh, there that is. There's that picture. He says, it's Aberf. What's that, Aberf? And I went, oh, it's Aberfeldy 12, and it was the gold tin, And he went, yeah. He says, yeah, my dad says it's about £100 a bottle. And I went, wherever he's buying that, I says you're talking £40 at most there. And he went, no, it's definitely. And I just looked it up quickly, and I went, it's even £35 an offer at the minute. But he was got it. It's like, so this is the thing. It's just you don't want to be you don't want to be that person, but at the same time, when you get a bit of an education about it, when you start to realize what prices, etc., are, it just sticks with you, and you just. But it's good then whenever you can get together with like-minded people and talk it over, and that just then becomes an incredible thing, where I know certainly for me it is. Anyway,
well, let's take your Saturday here with a couple of bar flies there, weren't you? Bad and
that was quite incredible. Neil's in here the night. Graham's in here the night. Bud's probably still touring around Northern Ireland somewhere because he's. I know he was away today for a tour somewhere, him and the family. So, but no, it was fantastic to actually meet those guys, and I think going forward, here's hoping that it'll happen for all of us, that we'll all at some point, the first time we did it a few weeks back with some of just the Northern Ireland crew, we drank, whiskey straight ale was there, etc. And most of us just drank Guinness, and we were in I think it was voted the best whiskey bar in Belfast, or best whiskey bar in the north for, I can't remember, many years running the Duke of York. And we drank Jameson Black Barrel all day and Guinness. We didn't look at any other whiskey because it was one of those things that there was a certain amount of having to stay in your seat. But it was more just the fact that there's nothing wrong with Jameson Black Barrel, so we'll just drink that.
We get to chat about it, and then,
yeah. So you're, I mean, that's only a couple of years back. It's a bit like myself. I'm not that long myself, but it's the fact that you've obviously discovered you like this thing and moved up the ranks very quickly from the samples that you've been sending me out.
Well, it's FOMO. It really is. And I'm a social media junkie. go and what I don't know how to use it, but I'm on it all the time, and I'm just, oh look, that's come out. Oh, get something like that. And it is, yeah. I need to reel it in a little bit. But it's a hobby, and it's a hobby that I'm really, really enjoying. And I just like friends online. Horrible thing that I don't know the horrible thing to say, but I don't. If COVID and the lockdown didn't kick in like it did, I don't think I would be at here. To research with the son-in-law, just to find things to talk about, going online, and you got the Whiskey Tribe. I think was my first online,
like most of us.
And Roy was popped up, Scotch Test Dummies, Scotch for Dummies, yourself, and it was just open arms. Come we have a chat? Welcome, have a drink, talk about it. And I haven't seen that anywhere else.
Yeah,
I'm into scooters as well. I have a Lambretta.
Right.
And
are you no mod? Are you no mod?
No. I think I'm an old skinhead. I think would probably be the
right.
I think I missed that out by a few years. Probably a good thing. I like the scene. I like the music. The riding's a good laugh. They're a good bunch, but they don't. You get your clubs and that's it. You do mingle now and again, but nothing like this. You don't get, yeah, come and ride on my scooter. No, no, share a dram. Having that. Yeah. You don't get that community. It's a family.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Extended family.
100%, brother, and I totally agree. So I'm just going to quickly before we go. Chris Malloy, come in. Peter Box is in. I just wanted to say, make sure these people knew I'd seen them in. Chris Mergeltic was in earlier, or is in Bill Monteith, Whiskey Lovers Society. As I say, buddy, they're here, and it's here because of this community. I'm exactly the same, and I think the fact that both of us. Oh, multi-mission. Sorry, I forgot. Man, it was in there as well. How could one forget that? I think the fact that you and I are pretty much the same. We're still fairly new to this, but as I said, I think it was even in the description, maybe to the patrons in this. I can't remember where I'd put it out that. There's no special handshake. There's no special invitation required. It's just, as you said yourself, it's just open arms. Come in, pull up a chair, pour a dram, and join in. And you're never, from the first bottle to the biggest collection, you're no bigger or worse or better or than anybody else. You're just one of the.
No one looks down at you at all if you don't know. They take what you're giving. They give a lot back, and they're not dismissive. They don't laugh at you, not on purpose. And so I just saw Stuart Whiskey Wims. I think he's feeling a bit left out there. Sorry.
Where is it? I missed that. There's so much going on in the chat.
There is. It's just flying, isn't it? Yeah.
Beard, baseball, cancer. I know, Stuart, and funny yet again, it's weird who you pick up on, and I don't mean that in a strange way. Stuart was one of the first people that I picked up on, and the Stuart and I'd almost say that Stuart and I became friends almost instantly, and it would still think different ways, and this is yet again, I think this is another great thing about this community. We think different ways, but we meet at Springbank as such, and it's one of those things that while you've got a common ground, and as I say, when we think different ways, what I mean is that it's like everybody. We have our own personalities. We all differ. But when it comes to whiskey, we all just meet somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. No, that's sorry, it's
yeah, I know. Stuart, no, it's not. I wouldn't say Stuart I fancied you, but what I think you sent me I think Stuart sent me some of the best samples at the start, and it was a case of, well, fair enough. I quite like this guy already, Sorry, I'm still that Loch Lomond. I've actually kept it yet again. What's great about the smaller glasses now is that a smaller sample does for a Monday night, but I'm still sipping away at the other Loch Lomond in the background. I might actually move on to another sample, if that's all right. I'm going to move on to the Deanston. I'm keeping the third one because you know what the third one is, and I want to keep that to the end simply because, we'll get there in the end. This is a Deanston 2008 12-year-old PX cask.
Excuse my writing, mate.
Yeah, that's finish.
Chicken scratching.
58.1%. And I've done the thing, Leejay, where I've actually started to write names, and so every sample you've sent me now has Leejay written on the edge of it, because I was doing the same as I heard Roy saying, that the amount of samples I was getting and never had a clue who they were coming from, and I was sitting there and sampling them and thinking, who sent me that? So now at least I know. This is a PX cask. That's
it jumps out.
And 12-year-old too. It's weird that it's quite it's quite a sharp nose at first, but then whenever it gets a bit of movement back in it, it becomes a bit that PX again. Did you say?
Sorry,
you picked this up at Deanston? You picked this up from Deanston?
Oh, it was watching you when you did your holiday in Scotland, and you said you're going past Deanston, and I've yet to open your sample of that one, and it just popped up. Instagram, they must have known I was watching. Come up, Deanston's doing this, and it come up with a PX and a distillery exclusive. Yeah,
it's got very accessible. So it has Distell, Burn Stewart, whatever. They seem to have made, finally, I'm delighted, they seem to have made this stuff incredibly accessible. The Bunnahavens, the Deanstons, and it's great to see. Sorry, I just noticed the other one, Dram Divided, I completely missed them earlier on. And Bud Jenkins is in. Good to see you, Bud. We passed, folks, was over at Fibber McGee's having a dram. Fibber McGee's is a little bar that we had to walk past the other day because we were standing queuing to get into the other end of it. And it was just, I don't queue for anything anymore. I can't be bothered. But Bud, good to see you, my friend. And he's tried a Method in Madness single malt. So, highly recommended. This Deanston is incredible, and as I say, it's great that they're making these more accessible nowadays. I picked up the that is incredible. Picked up the Bunnahaven Moyne Bordeaux from the Fish Ale at the Deanston Distillery, and it was just tucked away in a corner somewhere that almost like they were trying to hide it, but it was good to see, as I say, that these bottlings are available.
Yeah, it doesn't say. I tried looking for it. I'm not sure how long it was finished for. But that's
incredible, and it's big, it's bold, it's 58.1%.
But that doesn't the alcohol doesn't hit you up in the face, does it? It's not.
No, it's all the flavor you're getting. It's flavor. It's sweetness yet again. There's a confectionery. I'm getting a hint of lemon sherbet or something on it. Yet again, I know you said you had the cold at the weekend, so maybe
I'll just go nod. Yeah.
Levenshire, of course, Levenshire. But that's what I was
Yeah.
going to say. Oh, I can't thank you enough for that, Leejay. Lovely
I've got
stuff.
something else I want to send you, mate, but we'll talk about that later.
So we were talking earlier about the auspice,
Mm.
and you were saying you've had a little punt, you've had your vote. I was having this chat with, and I'm not going to, by any means, knock the auspice. I'm not going to. I was just a bit surprised by some of the nominations, and I think this is what has got thrown a few ripples into the water with a lot of people. That it is some of the nominations, I think, is what is becoming surprising. Stuart's saying, will you be revealing which you voted for or nominated? Not here, I won't, Stuart, no. There was one that stood out for me in particular, and I brought this up when we were having our whiskey meetup the other day. And I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this one, Leejay. And I just thought it was a prime example of one that I think went wrong, but it's nothing to do with the thing to remember for anybody that's in here is this isn't Roy and Ralphie's doing if it went wrong. This is what was nominated. This is, I think people nominated them. It's not their doing. They just went with the flow. That it was the same model they were always going to use. But the prime example, the first one I saw was Ardbeg 10 as an entry level whiskey, and it was I just thought to myself, no, never would I think that Ardbeg 10 is an entry level whiskey. And yet again, as I say, this wasn't their doing. It was just put out there, and there was enough people agreed with it to let it in there. And I don't know. I just don't know. And as I say, it's not their doing, it's not our doing. It is our doing. It's whoever voted. I don't know. I think over the years, what will happen is, in time, it'll get better, and it will be for us, and it will work to our favor. I think the thing to remember is that this is just the first year of it.
Yeah.
And it, it'll become a more grounded thing. Did you notice any that stood out? Well, you actually said to me earlier, but
the blended really.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't got a lot of experience with blended, but to have, was it 4 compass box? Well, out of the 6,
something like that.
It's, which is, like you said, but I'm not sure. Like we were chatting before, it's like how many or how it's pushed. We were talking about a different distillery and how it's marketed abroad, and especially that was the biggest thing for me, noticing that I would have never thought of any of them would have been my first. They might be really good. I haven't tried them, so I didn't vote. I didn't vote on that particular one. But on the solar categories, it's like, well, that seems to be influenced from not to our shore, shall we say? And because it's a world award, isn't it? It is. But then you have your different influences, your different pushes.
Well, I mean, I'll do it. I'm going to ask to those in here who are watching tonight, and I know that there's at least 2 or 3 watching from the US, or maybe they're not in the US necessarily, but compass box is obviously, because I used to find this, even going back to the Whiskey Tribe, and Compass Box whiskies used to come up mentioned all the time. You know, there was this Compass Box, there was that Compass Box, and the thing was that although they were expensive, even in the US, they were still, when you converted that price to this side of the pond, it still seemed like a quite an affordable whiskey for the way they were getting put out there, the way they were talking about them. And then you thought, certainly I thought anyway, I'm going to go and look for one of these then. But you couldn't get them. You had no access to them at all. It's not even a case of saying that, well, look, yes, they're here, but the price has been relative, so they're much more expensive here. There was just no access to them at all.
No.
So
no.
To me, it makes it. I don't know. It's hard to say because I don't want to step on any toes, but certainly, and I mean, what do we do? There's nothing you can do about it because, as we discussed earlier, it's all relative when you look at the amounts of people. So there's obviously an awful lot more people in the US than there are.
Bigger market. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a bigger market. There's a bigger market to aim for. There's a bigger group of people within that community then. So it all just balances itself out, especially when it comes, but this you sort of think Scotch whiskey, you know, it's something that we should have access to, but we don't.
No.
You know, this mic is going to really. If you ever wanted to see the novice in a rage, it doesn't happen very often, but could end up happening tonight. So, yeah, no, it's. I think definitely going forward, the Oswas will be of benefit, definitely. And I think
yes, brilliant. I think Ralph, well, all of you contributors, there's everything. It's the first award. I've never really followed any of the awards before, but the impression I got is if you put it in, you're going to get something. This one is actually voted by the people who buy it.
Well, I didn't even know until, well, say recently, it was certainly within the last year that they buy themselves in there.
Mm.
You know, these distilleries are buying themselves into
it's a shame. You know,
it's
marketing, isn't it? At the end of the day, it is, we won gold, and they sell some.
Definitely. You know, there's, and I think this is something here that there's another one that was a prime example for Stuart saying it there about Waterford being in there.
Mm.
Well, I mean, we know why they were in there. You know, they're in there as a new distillery. They wouldn't get my vote, but yet again, that's a personal thing. I think it's safe to see from what's in the chat that people are thinking the same. That, you know, it's about these nominations. I think that is basically the first row was, or the first thing that kicked people off was who was contributing, and I could understand that because there was a lot of people around long before me even that I was surprised that they asked. You know, they asked me, but then whenever the nominations come out, I had a funny feeling that they were going to cause a few ructions, and it's understandable why. As I say, there's, you know, you can't please everybody all the time, but at the same time, I think just some of the nominations to me just did not make sense. I think that's more the point. You know, I've seen if you know, people say, somebody said it a while ago, a prime example of an entry level whiskey, Tomatin Legacy. I can safely say that what I offered up, and I don't think I'm out of contract by saying it, that what I offered up was Glen Scotia Double Cask as an entry level whiskey. You know, and to me,
Great.
those are entry level whiskies, not Ardbeg 10.
It's not
Not
my first sip of that. Like, yeah, I'll come back to that one when I've developed a bit more.
yeah. Even because I think another one that I remembered off just as an example was Glencairn 10. Even Glencairn 10, I wouldn't consider an entry level whiskey because it's priced out of the entry level whiskey league for me, you know, and it's one of those things that I know. As I say, I know exactly where Roy and Ralphie were going. I know what but they can't direct people as to where to vote. So, because I honestly, I think I left it in a comment after it made my nominations that Lord knows I would love to vote at Springbank and Kilkerran for everything, but what's the point? You can't buy them, so
no,
you know.
Do you think then from these awards that because the community is behind it and that everyone is talking about it, positive or negative, that they're going to actually start listening and they're going to change their ways a little bit? Will I can't see it myself, but will Springbank increase their yield?
It's funny you asked that because that was the question. Somebody asked me that the other day whenever we were out for the drink as well, and it seems to be the question: is it going to raise awareness of the community to the producers? Now, I suppose. Well, I'll go on to the second part, the likes of the Springbank there. I know Springbank announced this week, I believe, I read it somewhere, that they're going to open there's plans to open another distillery at some time in the next future. So, you know, well, obviously that'll push up production, but I mean, it only pushes it up relatively, depending on what, are they going to open another distillery to themselves, or is it just going to be something yet again? Is it going to be a rehash of an old distillery, etc.? Maybe they've really announced this and I just missed it. But I think eventually, that's what I'm saying. I just don't think right away it'll make an awful lot of difference. I think you'd be talking at least 5 years.
Oh, whiskey's not rushed, is it?
No, definitely.
Well,
definitely not.
As long as it sends ripples, I think, and there is where it's years. I'm just glad to be part of it. I voted. If it changes in a year, 2 years,
I couldn't believe it. As I say, I was blown away when Roy contacted me and asked me, you know, would I be part of it? And I found it very difficult. I think part of the issue with it is none of us fully understand where it's going just yet. I think once it establishes itself over the next few years, then we'll all understand how big a part we play in it, all of us as a community, you know. And I believe that contributors will come and go. I believe that voters will come and go. You know, I still think this thing with nominations, Luna said something a while back here. I do try to read these. Trust me, people. It's just difficult to talk and read at the same time in my diminished capability. And I agree with what Luna's saying there. That, you know, what people had and is therefore available, etc., and certain criteria. You know, and I think this was, I suppose, a bit of the issue that it was very difficult for Roy and Ralphie to get that across, because I had to ask the question: am I limited to what was released in the last year? Is this a 2021 awards in that I'm voting for, or I'm nominating whiskies that were released in the last year, or I'm nominating this? And but as Roy put it across to me, and he says, no, it's basically the only category where that's the case is new distilleries. Everything else, it's fair game. So it just leaves a wide open world of whiskey then. I mean, we all know how many, well, that's the thing, none of us know how many bloody whiskies are out there. So How do you narrow that down to those amount of categories? Especially.
Yeah. They couldn't, for the first time, they couldn't just go, right, let's do everything.
Yeah.
Like Ralphie said, you have to simple, limit. You can't go too many.
And even those 8 categories is very difficult to pick within those 8 categories. I don't know. As I say, it will, I think, work itself out. I definitely do. So anyway, moving on. Springbank, it did come up, and I honestly, whenever you sent this is Springbank 8-year-old, this is the society release. Fresh, I like fresh sherry hogshead, nice, 57.3%.
Yep.
And when I read that, it was like, what the hell? How did Leejay get his hands on a bottle of this? But then you explained it to me earlier, so we'll not dive into it. But oh man, the reason why I kept this to the end, most of you know I'm a Springbank fan. Oh, and there's a reason why I'm a Springbank fan. They just do it so well. I've never had a Springbank so young.
Okay.
I don't think. No, I couldn't have had. I think the youngest Springbank I've had will be a 10-year-old. But they just seem to do it so well, no matter what age it is. Yeah, that's incredible. Cheers, Leejay.
Cheers,
I really appreciate that. You see, that to me matches and betters most sherried whiskey. And you yourself said it earlier that you're a sherried whiskey fan. How does it sit for you?
It's up there. It is up there. It's, sorry, I've lost for words. It's just trying to think. Is that the nose is gone, but the taste, the finish.
I would agree. The finish actually almost makes that.
Yeah, that's this is the fruits. I'm actually getting it is the fruits above the nose. It's little pepper at the end.
My night Menno, by the way.
Oh, good night, Menno.
Thanks for joining. It's because I know, and I think that's another thing with whiskey that be interesting to hear your thoughts. Do we sometimes convince ourselves that we like a whiskey more than others, and therefore, when we think it's going to be good, we tell ourselves it's going to be good, and we convince ourselves that it's good, and it's just, I'm a Springer fan. It just doesn't matter what they put out. Oh, it's great. Do you think, have you fallen guilty of that at all?
Yeah, and I think with it, lost the word. That's not hard for me. Early in me journey, a lot of people saying Highland Park, fantastic. Getting it, was brought it for gifts. Tasted it, wasn't that impressed. But then say not really sherry. I haven't had a chance of any of those ones. So up on the shelf, not touched since. I haven't been disappointed with it other than start again. I like them, happily go back to them, but there's ones that I haven't been disappointed with, especially the heavy shit. That was just gold. That's up there with some of the ones. I've been lucky enough to try the Martin Distillery PX, and that was just from the sample. That was I've got to get that. One day I'm going to get that. That's on my list. And that was shared. That was like from the community. I haven't.
Yet again, I think this is why it gets appreciated even more. And sorry to interrupt you there, but it's one of those things then that when you touch upon something that you think is incredible, in most cases, I would say people will go, "Oh, that's incredible. It's all mine, and I will make it last forever, and I'll just drink it down to that last drop." But in this community, what we do is when we come across something that we think is incredible, is you go, everybody should try this. We have to make sure as many people. Honestly, you will love this. You've got to try it. And it's like, as I say, any other community would just go, "No, it's all mine. You're not trying it. I can't," And
have you ever had that though? Someone said you really got to try this, and you've gone, yeah, it's nice.
But it's weird because I know this is, yet again, as I said, this is part of the reason why I wanted to do Tim's Money Malt samples, because it annoyed me trying these samples and not letting people know what I thought of them, because at the end of the day, none of these are cheap. They're not. But money doesn't really come into it. I think it's just one of those things that when you want people to try it, it doesn't matter the price. You'll send them to the other end of the world if you think somebody's going to enjoy them. And I think the other thing is we get to know each other in a way that we know what people will like, almost. And then you can sort of go, well, this would suit such and such. I'll send them a sample. He says, remembering now that you like sherry above all of the rest.
I'm looking forward to that. The one you sent, that instant. Yeah, there's a few in there actually. Looking forward to trying that one.
I can't even remember. That's the thing. I used to take, and the way that was saying that I've started writing, people's names on the samples they send. I can't remember what I've sent them.
Well, I'm the same. With my dad, it's like, "Oh, I've got this. You have to try it." He's not a whiskey drinker, but I said, "You just got to try it. You could add water. Trust me, you'll like it." And I sent one recently to him. I said, "How did you get on with that one?" He goes, "I didn't like it. I chucked it down the sink." Oh, really? Why? No, I just didn't like it. You didn't fancy going back or sticking it in something? No, straight down the sink. Didn't like it. Straight down there.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I won't go down that route with those ones.
Yeah. I did that one with. I created a little cask finish of my own with a peated. Can't remember the name off the top of my head. It was just one of those Finlagan. It was the Finlagan unnamed Isla Distillery, and because you were still able to get a relatively cheap cask strength. The Finlagan still, the cask strength is only something like £38 for a peated cask strength whiskey. It ain't great. Trust me, it's not. Probably not worth £38. It's cask strength, and it's just got nothing. There's no grip. There's nothing with it at all. That's the way I found with what I'd had anyway. So I finished it in a port. I had matured port in a 2-litre cask for a couple of months, and then put Finlagan in because I wanted some cask strength. I wanted something peated because I'd never tried peat and port before. Just thought it would be something, and it became quite incredible thing. I'll send you a sample of it. I want to send it around a few people. Now the thing is, I need to buy another bottle of Finlagan because it has to go. There's no point sending out this one and going, "This is incredible. You wanted to try the original? It was piss." So I'll I'll wait to get another bottle of Finlagan and then I'll start sending samples out to people. And yet again, it's one of these things that there only ever was 2 liters of it. This will never happen again. But at the same time, I don't really care. It's just going to sit in my cabinet, not getting drunk. So I have to send it out to somebody. But and then again, that's something else I would recommend to anybody. If you can pick up a 2 liter cask, just mess about. I know Whiskey Works Graham in here has been doing it, and
yeah, on the Insta, yeah. So I've been doing Infinity. It's like come to the end of the bottle, and I've got 2. I've got the bourbon and cask, and then the sherry influenced. And that's had a variety of bottles in there. Tried it. Yeah, no. I don't know what I've done there. I've ruined it. Left it for a while. Son-in-law come round. Yeah, what do you think of this? He goes, this is really nice. And within those, I think it was like 2 months, it completely changed.
Right.
Okay. Not sure if I should add anything to it now or just hold on to it. Or
I don't know. As I say, I started with or I tried a Infinity bottle once, and it went so wrong. And I know other people said, no, it's all right, just blend it out. I know Ralphie did a video on it recently, just blend it out. But it just lost interest so quick. And I just thought to myself, no, maybe at some point again I'll go back to it. But for now, there was something added to it that really broke it. And I wouldn't. Sorry, something, and I don't know whether I'm allowed to do this, but hey, I don't care. A whiskey bond, Mark, isn't it? I'm going to say it's Mark. I'm calling him Mark from now on. Asked what else to nominate in each category. I don't know whether I'm allowed to do this or not. I don't know whether it's going to change the life cycle of polar bears or whatever will happen if I announce this, but I'm going to sort it. Does it? I mean, I'll tell you what I nominated just for why not? Like, because most actually ended up in there, and that's what I was just sitting doing while we were talking. I just thought I'd call this up just to see. As I said earlier, the best entry level, I put in Glen Scotia Double Cask. I'm not trying to, as Mark, I thought it was Mark, because to me that's an entry level whiskey. Somebody else said Tomato and Legacy. That's an entry level whiskey. Yourself, Leejay?
Had both. I had both. Yeah. Oh, for me, I quite like the Dean St. Virgin Oak.
Well, that's something you and I disagree on. And I know.
No, I know. I've seen your
exactly. Yeah. But definitely, 100%, because it's affordable, it's approachable, it's different. There's certainly no denying that it's a different whiskey. So, and to me, yes, it's an entry level whiskey. And to me, it's another one of those things that an awful lot of entry level whiskies tend to be non-age statement. They tend to be young. There's a reason for that. They're younger, but you're getting that's still that Virgin Oak. I think still 46.3. It's still the Burn Stewart Classic. My blended. This is where I think. And well, I voted for the Cutty Sark Prohibition Edition because I've always had a bit of a thing for the Cutty Sark Prohibition Edition. I just think you're getting it's something like 22, 23 pound bottled.
Yet to try it. Not 50%, tried it.
50% or something like that there. Like that. And it's full of Bunnahabhain. So why? It's basically molded on a Bunnahabhain, so it's actually, I would say, better than the likes of the Stewardshire and I just think it's for what you're getting. Now, I can understand the compass box thing, but to me, yet again, blended whiskey has been about for a long time. I would even have liked to have seen, and I know there were nominations in there for the likes of the Naked Grouse and things like that, which to me, that's what I still consider a blend. It's
Yeah.
Now, even yet again, it's back this thing where it's a blended, as with the Cutty Sark, it's a blended malt. The blends, the Scotch blends, seem to be becoming almost a thing of the past. It's very difficult to. It's very difficult for them to steer a path now where they want people to buy them. I think they just.
Yeah. They go for the mass market and the nerds, I think, with a lot of it.
Yeah.
Don't they?
And I think they'll never. Yeah. So anyway, best grain. This is one that I think it doesn't really matter. The Whiskey Friends and Alan, you were also a contributor in this. So Alan, I'm giving out my nominations here. I don't know whether don't tell anybody. Anyway, best grain I put through, and it didn't get through anywhere. Didn't get anywhere. Method and Madness single grain, because I've only had I said earlier, I think I've only had something like half a dozen single grains, and definitely of them, the Method and Madness. But I know the Baines single grain is in there, and I imagine there's every chance that the Baines single grain will win it, because I think it's one of the most approachable single grains worldwide. I don't know if you had the Baines single grain, Leejay.
Quite early in my journey. I think Toby from Whiskey Shared sent it to me, actually.
Mm-hmm. It's just incredibly approachable.
Yeah,
Whiskey Jason's in. Good to see you, Jason. Best Scotch producer, I went for Springbank, because I had to get them in summer. And that seemed the best place. You can't really, you can't deny one that. Best independent bottler, yet again, is in there, Douglas Lang. Yeah, I mean, US says Compass Box, we say Douglas Lang, and that's to blends for me. Whenever we're looking at blends, this is why that's where they sort of go. I think we get all that Douglas Lang stuff. They tend to get the Compass Box stuff, and yet again, can't deny any of them. Best new distiller, I went with Arden American. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this. I don't. Maybe I'm not supposed to be giving out in case I'm swaying. I could be strung up after this. Best world whiskey, Powers John's Lane, because I just like Powers John's Lane, and I had to get something in for the Irish. And this was another one. The last one was a bit of I thought was another bone of contention, which is best Scotch whiskey, and an awful lot of people were naming whiskies that were very, very limited. And I thought to myself, well, what's the point in nominating whiskies that you can't buy? That you and me and the person at the end of the street can't buy. It's so. I went for something that I thought was I nominated a Craig Elliott 13, because I just thought you can buy that, and it's a good whiskey to hang your hat on. So
fair play there, mate.
So Mark's standing by me here as he says, if anybody grasses on me, there'll be a riot. I'll hold you to that, Mark. I do feel a bit guilty. As I went down there, I thought to myself, I definitely shouldn't have been naming these, because now people know what I've nominated, and yeah.
So they're all coming in now. No, I want his stash.
That's good to see. As I say, there's a few coming in there, and who did I see? There's quite a few coming in. JB's in. So yeah, no, look, it's one of those things that we're just gonna, we're just gonna go with anyway. And I don't know, I've said it now. I've given you my nominations now on the heat of the moment. And
sure, let us know if Ralphie or Roy.
shows up at the door.
Yeah.
It's maybe, yeah, both of them show up at once. I'm in trouble. Like, I think I could take Ralphie, but Roy, I don't know.
Yeah, no Nicky's at Ralph. Yeah.
Always keep a golf club at the side of the door. Anyway, moving on.
Yes.
I'll not keep this going much longer, mate, because I know you're like me, kids, etc. And these things can go on very, very easily and end up, you could end up doing an album, and this could go on for 3 hours. See, that's the other thing that I do love about this. Doing an album, and everybody knows the whiskey friend now and his epic tours through a night's conversation. Leejay, yeah, honestly, if you know the samples you sent, as I say, I just wanted to get on. I wanted to have you on so we could talk about them. Simply because I just really appreciate it. I appreciate the samples everybody sends me, but there was just something that stood out about this. I just noticed one from Bill Monteith there. That's a very good point. If Clive shows up with Ralphie, I would be in trouble. Actually, no, you're all right. But Clive, you just have a blender and a bottle of something. It's handy. Just reach the table. There you go, Clive. Knock yourself out. 9 hours, fella. Alan, I know you can do it, boy. You can do it. So yeah, Leejay, I really appreciate you coming on for a chat. I know it's just been the usual, just a bit of a gab, isn't it? You know, that's
enjoyed it. Yeah, I'll be honest. I was nervous when you asked, but I've loved it. So much
nothing
fun
to be nervous about, buddy. You know what this is say? It's just talking a lot, just talking. I was going to say talking a lot of something, but I didn't want to, didn't want to bring it down now. We've got to the end. I didn't want to be lowering the level. So I didn't.
Well, one day, mate, when we actually meet up in person, we'll see if we can get
I really hope that happens sooner rather than later because, and because, and there's another subject that I'm not going to breach here, but because the English leg of things is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, the distilleries are getting, more and more plentiful as the weeks go on. And the community in England is growing, and not just England, Wales, Scotland knew what they were doing anyway. It was, so it's good that England and Wales are starting to now become part of that bigger thing, and I just hope that, as I say, that'll happen. It'll definitely happen, and I'd love to get over. I have friends over there. Obviously, England's a bigger place than I always put it down to. It's a case of, I've got friends in England. I'll see you when I'm there, but
he's in it again.
And that'll be the end of the mic. Leejay, before it does actually happen again, I'm going to say thank you very much, my friend. If you wouldn't mind hanging around, we'll wrap this up once we get rid of this lot. And listen, my friend, cheers. As I say, it's just been an old blether as usual, but it's good to blether to somebody that knows what they're talking about.
Well, appreciate it.
I'll speak to you soon, buddy. Yeah, as I say, that's another Monday night's malt samples where it's just me talk crap through a mic, which is obviously living on its last legs. That Springbank was quite incredible, and as you can see, there's quite a bit more of it for me to enjoy. So thank you again for that, Leejay. I still have something in my glass. I'm going to scroll up through because I'm sure there was people I missed. There was definitely chat I missed. I just do not have the capability or wherewithal to read what's being said while I'm talking at the same time. It's weird because I don't, well, I'm not a reader in that I can read, but I just don't read. I'm not a book reader. There's something for you to know about me. I haven't got the patience for it. So there's something, a little tidbit for you. Whiskey Straight Al popped in later to say this. So that's tactful, Al, as always. Cheers, Al. Very appreciative, mate. So listen, guys, there's a great chat tonight. It was great to see. Apologies, the audio will be sorted. It's payday on Thursday. A new mic will be bought. And what really annoys me is this is a good mic. It's just there's something going wrong, which will have to be addressed. I couldn't continue doing Roy's from my live feeds. Only do one every month, as you know. So we'll have to get that fixed. Can't thank Leejay enough. Very, very much appreciate it. Can't thank you guys enough for being here. Very, very much appreciate it, as always. The link is below for the Ospreys. The link is below for Leejay's socials. So check out Leejay's social media stuff. I will drop in a link for his club. The Ospreys, please, please, please. I don't care. If you want to tell Roy that I give out my nominations, what odds? They've got bigger shoulders than that. I'm going to leave it at that before I say more than I should. Thank you very much for joining me again. I'll be back next month with something different. Until then, here's your good health. Cheers.